Today we have a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. In this video, I'll talk about what the Grand Cherokee is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Now, Grand Cherokee is one of the most recognizable names in the industry, so I don't think this thing needs any introduction. The current 5th generation of this iconic SUV debuted in 2021 and is offered in many different trims and configurations. To be honest, you need a doctorate degree in Jeepology to distinguish all the differences, so I'll give you a high-level overview. Let's start with technical stuff. The WL generation Grand Cherokee sits on a unibody rear-wheel drive platform and features a multilink suspension front and back. Higher trims like the Summit Reserve that we're testing today get air springs and adaptive dampers. Lower trims get coil springs and regular passive dampers. Now, there are two wheelbase configurations, standard and extended. The standard gets 2 rows of seats and 2 engine options, a 293 horsepower V6 or a 4-cylinder 375 horsepower plug-in hybrid. The longer wheelbase Grand Cherokee L has 3 rows and only comes with a V6. There was also a V8 available for a short period of time, but now it's long gone. All engines use an 8-speed automatic transmission made by ZF, which transfers the power to either rear or all wheels, and the Grand Cherokee can tow up to 6,200 pounds with a V6 under the hood. Pricing starts at around $36,000 for the base 2-row Grand Cherokee, $40,000 for the Grand Cherokee L, and fully loaded models stop at a little over 70 grand. Now, before we talk what it's like to drive the Grand Cherokee, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Alrighty, inside the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, when you first look at this cabin, especially in the Summit Reserve trim, it seems very upscale and luxurious, and I must admit, it is a big step up compared to the previous generation, which was full of cheap plastics. Here we get a good mix of leather with quilted accents, wood and aluminum, and while I cannot compare the Grand Cherokee to a premium offering like a Volvo XC90 or a BMW X5, it's up there with the Mazda CX-90, and Jeep has nothing to be ashamed of. Maybe besides the use of piano back plastics, which are already full of scratches after 2,000 miles and have their own ecosystem. Can't wait for this stupid trend to be over. Anyways, besides improving the interior quality, Jeep also put an emphasis on technology. In this fully loaded Summit Reserve trim, we get 4 displays. Starting with what's ahead of you, we have a customizable gauge cluster which is fairly configurable, shows all the necessary information, including a navigation map. There's also a head-up display. Next up is an Android-based infotainment system, which is okay to use and has a pretty logical interface. Finally, there's also a passenger display that is useless. Okay, maybe not. You can plug in an HDMI device in the center console and use it as a display for projection or control audio input or navigation, but I haven't met anyone who found this useful. Now, despite all those displays, we still get a good amount of physical controls for functions that require easy and quick access, such as the HVAC system, and the overall dashboard layout is pretty logical. Now, if you know a little bit about sound systems, you might know that Macintosh is a pretty reputable brand in the industry, but don't let that name fool you. It lacks clarity at the higher frequencies, and sound dynamic in the mid-range could be better as well. I'm not gonna lie, I expected it to be on a level of Bowers & Wilkins found in Volvo or BMW, but Bowers remains the industry leader in car audio game. The usability, just as expected from a family-oriented SUV, is great. There are a lot of storage solutions across the cabin, the center console is practical, and you can tell that this thing has been designed with usability in mind. You will definitely appreciate what it offers as a family hauler. Granted, the trunk doesn't offer much space with the 3rd row up, but that's common for most rear-row midsize SUVs, so after folding the seats down, you will get much more usable cargo capacity. The front seats are super comfortable. They are heated and ventilated and offer decent adjustability, including inflatable bolsters, so they can accommodate basically any body type. They also have massaging, so you can really relax on long road trips. Now, moving to the back, the second row features captain's chairs in the L variant and offers great amount of headroom and legroom. You also get everything you need in a family SUV: four-zone climate control, heated and ventilated rear seats, and plenty of USB Type-A and C ports to charge your devices. The third row is somewhat usable, and while adults about 6 feet tall may complain, kids and shorter individuals probably will not. Well, that was the cabin of the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, so let's get this thing on the road and see how it drives. Okay, driving the Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Now, if you're coming from previous generation Grand Cherokee, you'll notice two things about this new gen right away. A, improved ride comfort, and B, better driving dynamics. Now, since we are on our favorite back road, let's put this bad boy into sport mode. The drive mode selector is down here. The car will lower itself since we have air suspension in this tester. The dampers will stiffen up to give you less body roll, and the steering will become a little bit heavier. Now, let's take a couple of those corners a little bit more aggressively and see how this WL generation Grand Cherokee does. The engine is pretty responsive. It gives you just enough power and torque for everyday driving. The ZF 8-speed is a class of its own, very quick to react, shifts gears very quickly and smoothly, and it is always in the right gear. Now, as we toss this thing around corners, we can tell that this is a big 3-row midsize SUV, but I am truly impressed how well it handles and how great the body control is. Now, the secret here is the Grand Cherokee rides on a heavily modified platform used by Alfa Romeo. Alfa uses it in their Stelvio SUV and Giulia compact sedan, and obviously Jeep had to modify it to make this thing very off-road capable, but it retained a little bit of driving dynamics from the Alfa. Obviously the steering is numb, it's not super quick, but I am very, very happy how this thing handles. It is much better and much more engaging vehicle to drive compared to things like a Toyota Grand Highlander, Hyundai Palisade, or Kia Telluride. But enough of that, nobody's gonna do what I'm doing right now, so let's go back into the automatic driving mode. The suspension will raise itself, the dampers will be a little softer, so let's talk how they do on a daily basis. Well, the suspension feels a little bit stiffer compared to something like a Grand Highlander or Palisade and Telluride, as I mentioned, but what we get instead is much better driving dynamics and better body control. The car just feels more stable, it feels more solid, and honestly, I would compare it to some European SUVs, and that is a big compliment, something I did not accept from Jeep. Now, obviously, something with our ride quality to keep in mind is that our tester, the Summit Reserve version, has 21-inch rims. They take away some of that ride comfort for you, but you know what? That's totally fine. It's still a compliant vehicle. I like how it reacts to all the road imperfections. There's no unnecessary vibration like in, for example, a Mazda CX-90. And as an overall daily/family hauler, this is a very, very great car. My family and I took it on a road trip from northern New Jersey to Saratoga Springs in New York. It was more than 200 miles one way, and everyone was happy. We had 2 adults up front, 2 adults in the back, and everyone was happy with how the Jeep performed. The cabin is quiet, we get laminated side windows that eliminate some of that noise, and there isn't much road noise coming inside. So the question is, would I recommend the Jeep Grand Cherokee L? Well, let's head into the final thoughts and talk about it. Okay guys, it's time to sum up the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, so let's talk about what's good and what's bad. If you're coming from the previous generation Grand Cherokee, this thing will probably blow your mind. It feels much more elevated and refined than any Grand Cherokee from the past, and especially in this Summit Reserve trim. It feels like an entry-level luxury product to me. The ride quality is very good. It's still a very much off-road capable vehicle, and the interior space in this L variant is pretty impressive, making it a great family hauler. The only thing that I would change is the engine. While the V6 that powers the Grand Cherokee L gets the job done, it's not the most fuel efficient unit on the market, and during my week with this thing I averaged 16 miles per gallon in the city, 22 on a highway and 20 combined, so for 2025 those results are not impressive whatsoever. What I would like to see here is a turbocharged inline-6 from the Grand Wagoneer that has much better fuel economy and smoother operating characteristics. Also, one thing that I have to mention is many drivers of the WL generation Grand Cherokee have been dealing with some reliability issues, especially the plug-in hybrid variants, so I would probably lean towards leasing this thing rather than buying it. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about the Grand Cherokee, drop a comment and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.